A year from today, voters in the United States will head to the polls in the 2024 presidential election. Joe Biden will seek his second term in office, while the expected Republican nominee, Donald Trump, is campaigning to return to the White House. One state that will go a long way to deciding the result is Michigan, which backed Trump in 2016, flipped to Biden in 2020. Our Washington correspondent Annelise Nielsen joins me live from the Michigan football stadium just outside of Detroit. Annelise, you've been speaking to voters across that important state. What have you picked up?
Yeah, look, Kieran, we're at the football. I promise there's a method to our madness here, but we are in Michigan for a very important reason. This is one of the key states that will likely decide who's going to be the next president of the United States in exactly 1 year's time. Michigan's important for a few different reasons, but as much as this is an unprecedented election we're facing, we had the leading Republican candidate up on 90 separate indictment charges across 4 different U.S. jurisdictions. Some things remain fundamentally the same in this coming election, and that is the Electoral College is king. Only a few states have those Electoral College votes that swing, that will decide which party wins and which loses. Michigan is one of those states that delivered Donald Trump the election in 2016, and at that time it was around 107,000 votes in a few swing states that delivered him the presidency. That's about the capacity of this stadium behind me. So these are how important these swing states become in the next year. We've seen Joe Biden come to Michigan to strike with workers on the picket line. We've seen Donald Trump come to talk to auto workers, apparently not unionized, but then they say meeting with union members nonetheless. This is where these votes all become critical. And Joe Biden has an issue now with the collapse in Arab American support, a significant group of around 200,000 voters here, more than what the margin was at the last election, who now don't support Joe Biden over his support of Israel. So this is going to be a tight race. We spent the morning out speaking with people who were going shopping for groceries. Across the board, everyone said cost of living was an issue, but we were interested to know how many were worried about Joe Biden's age going into this election. He's set to be the oldest candidate running for election. He's the oldest president in history now, and if he were to win again, he'd be 86 when he leaves office.
He's older than I am, and I wouldn't run.
A little bit, yeah. But I will be voting Democrat regardless.
I think he's been a good president, and I'd be happy to see him run again, even at his age. Yeah.
Yep. So you're not worried about him doing another 4-year term, making it the whole way through?
No. He's got a good vice president, too.
Yeah, I think they're both too old. I think they should make it so that anyone over probably around 65 isn't eligible to run for those offices anymore. We all know people that have gotten old, and some of them are great until they're not.
I'm upset that there are 2 old people running, and I'm old, so I feel it, but I don't know what else we can do. I keep saying to my children, it's up to you, not us. We're on our way out. You're on the way up. Let's get going.
Kieran, we're in the midst of the primaries right now for the Republicans. There's a debate next week, and for the Democrats, there's been no discussion because Biden says he's running again. The only one who's been giving him a run for his money has been RFK. But for what we've heard from voters on the ground here, no one's excited about any candidates. Across the board, every single person I asked today about if there was a single person they might be optimistic and feeling positive about for the next year, it came up stumps. Election. How are you feeling about this election cycle?
Not very good. Not warm and fuzzy.
The parties only work for themselves anymore. I don't think they represent most of the people. So I don't like either of them. But, they're going to pick our 2 choices, old guy A and crazy guy B. So, they really ought to do a better job. But
I'm wondering what's wrong with the American people. To be honest with you, you got a guy that has 91 indictments against you, and he's the front runner for the Republican Party. I voted for Reagan. I'm not going to, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, I voted for Reagan. I'm an independent. And I don't know what's wrong with our political system right now. They can't get anything done. They need to fire all their asses.
Look, enthusiasm does always ramp up in an election year. There will be billions of dollars spent on campaigning, advertising, and trying to get people excited out to vote. But by the same token, cost of living was across the board a concern for people we spoke to here, and this is shaping up to be a cost of living decision, much more than the last election, which was an election around the pandemic. And then before that, of course, it was Donald Trump stealing the show.